At this point, I am an enshrouded professional. I mean, look at my base. If you want to learn how to do the start of the game the right way, then make sure you watch every last second of this video to get the most knowledge. The most. This game does not hold your hand at all, but I will. Alright, so Enshrouded came out not too long ago, a little bit after Palworld, and it's kind of been overshadowed by Palworld. This game hasn't gotten much attention, or as much attention as I think it should be getting. Alright, so we got our first dedicated weapon. The world is almost entirely destructible. It also looks damn good. I think first things first, I'm gonna find a nice place to set up our base, and the game is suggesting that I do it here with this big red line here, I think. Pretty much anything you find is usable, so I'm going to pick up most things. So this is the shroud. You'll see just up below my compass, I have a 5-minute timer in here. You don't want to stick around in here for too long. These things here, these hourglass capsule things, they will restore a chunk of your time. I'm not sure if it's the full 5 minutes, but it is definitely a little bit. Actually got a ring now. Go over to my character and just equip that. We get plus 8 health, plus 8 stamina and plus 8 health, 10 health, my bad. And if we actually break these little crates here, you'll get metal scraps, which aren't necessarily rare, but they're very useful at the start of the game. And initially, very immediately out of the gate, they're not the easiest to come by. You usually have to kill enemies, or things like water increase my maximum stamina, so it will allow me to do things like climb like this, sprint. Over here, we have a campfire where I can cook this meat. You can actually cook these mushrooms as well. I didn't know that. And you'll see there it actually says rested in the top left. Because I'm warm and I'm sitting, I'm actually getting a rested buff, which improves my stamina for 5 minutes. And that will go up by quite a substantial amount if I make myself a base and get nice and sheltered. So if we now eat this meat that I've just made, you can see my health maximum just went up by quite a significant amount. And then this magic mushroom, it just boosted my magic damage. So when we get something like a wand or a staff, that will be useful. But for now, that's not necessarily the most useful thing for us. The edge of this bridge, there should be an enemy. He has like a big crossbow thing. He does quite a lot of damage, especially while we have no armor. Yeah, look at that. He's done a chunk of our health, so I'm going to just apply a bandage. These usually carry scraps and things like that. This mysterious flask, plus 30% damage multiplier, but minus 1 minute in the shroud. That is good for now for what we're doing, because we're not spending a ton of time in the shroud. We'll go back through the shroud eventually, but 4 minutes is more than enough for what we're going to have to do. So up here, there'll be a few more of those enemies that do quite a chunk of your health if you're not careful. But we can actually use... Oh, I'm being attacked by some bees. Bees are quite annoying if you only have a melee weapon or a bow. But if you have something like a wand or a magic item, then they're typically easy to take care of. These bushes allow you to sneak and hide. And I'm going to sneak up on this guy and get some backstab damage. I'm going to roll out the way of his attack. And I'm going to use a bomb on him because he is quite tough. And then this guy over here, if I can kite him into this... Oh no, it just locked straight onto him. That's fine. He should be quite easy to take care of now. You do have to be very careful with those guys' attacks, because they can quite easily one chunk your health bar. This has metal scraps, that's good for us. Here, if we see these anvils around, usually they'll have some metal scraps around them, but they will fully repair all of your equipment. That includes your things like your wands and stuff like that. Always keep a lookout for these little loot stashes. They usually have a little tiny square that just lets you know that you can loot them. And also look out for little nooks and crannies like this. This ladder isn't exactly... It's not in plain sight. It's not necessarily hidden, but it's not in plain sight. So just look out for those. And we've got another explosive because of that. And Got some more water, torn cloth, all useful stuff for the start of the game especially. Some more metal scraps, that's good. There we go, even more metal scraps. These things, let me just test to see if you can break them. Let me throw a bomb at it and see if that helps. I think that said ineffective. Oh, you can. It does take a little while, but there you go. 3 metal scraps. We might need to come back here when we've got a bit of a stronger weapon to damage that with. Usually everything is destructible, so you can just test it out and see what you get. It's going to be another pretty tough enemy in here, and these enemies are quite easy as you go on, but without a ranged weapon, they do a ton of damage, so you do have to be careful. There we go, we got him. And they tend to carry them as well, those metal scraps. These little glowing, they will give you XP if you read them. You can actually like read them and go through the lore if you want. I'm not entirely too interested in that, but here we've just awoken the first survivor, which is the blacksmith. So if we go back to our base and start cooking up a workbench, we can make a summoning staff and we can summon him into our base. So another warning, the game gets extremely dark at nighttime, very dark. A torch will help your immediate vision, but it is still extremely dark. There's an enemy over here. There's a couple enemies over here actually. Usually these sort of weaker enemies will glow, so it's not too difficult to see them when it's pitch black, so you don't have to worry too much, but just do take care of how dark it does really get. Now I am actually still elixir crazed, which means I get 1 less minute in the shroud. There might be a bed over in this tent here. If there is, we'll use that to sleep. If not, that's fine. Yep, there is. So we can skip the night. If I go sit at the campfire, yeah, you'll see I'm getting that rested buff. The rested buff is very important at the start of the game. It gives you an extreme stamina boost. So you always want to make sure before you're going out on a little mission or expedition, whatever you're doing, that you're resting up fully and then heading out. You don't want to be running out of stamina pretty much any time ever. So you can craft yourself a campfire, just some wood, so you can sit down and replenish that rested buff. It won't ever really be as long as if you were to just sit in your house for a little while. We do have to go back through the shroud now. I'm going to be relatively quick with this because as you can see, I've only got 4 minutes, and that is because we drank that elixir earlier, so do be careful of that. The elixir is pretty strong early game if you're not planning to go in the shroud. 4 minutes is plenty of time to do very, very quick things, just like gathering some resources or whatever you're planning to do. Oh, there's another chest in here that I missed. Another health potions. These health potions are very, very good early game. They essentially full heal you if you don't have that many points into constitution, that is. But they are extremely good early game. Pretty much a full health bar regeneration. Another tip I will have is, let me just see if I can find one quick. You see all of these trees, they'll just render you wood, and some of them will give you some resin. I think the bigger trees will give you resin, but if you are in search of just resin, if you look and see this tree over here with the sort of autumn orangey gold leaves, they will give you just resin, and it's a lot of it. But yeah, we are back at the base right now. Right, so to get started with base building, you're gonna need to craft yourself a construction hammer and make sure you're within range of your flame. And then if you enter this menu, you'll notice that you'll need some materials for this, and this kind of looks a little confusing, this menu, but it's pretty simple to navigate after you've got a little bit of an idea. You can go very in depth with the building on this game, and I do like it for that reason. The border is showing up now. This is what I was talking about earlier. This little border, I think level 1, it's 40 by 40. It's probably more like 40 of these. So the first thing you're going to want to craft up is definitely a workbench. That just takes string and wood logs. If you're finding that you don't have any string, you just go into crafting and come down to resources. You can make 1 string out of 3 plant fiber. This is usually quite a intensive resource at the start of the game. You usually need quite a lot of this at the start of the game, so pick up that plant fiber. Yeah, I'm going to craft myself up the workbench. I'm just going to place that down here, wherever. We can move this later, so I'm not too stressed where I put it. And this is where you can make your building blocks. As you can see, I've got a lot of wood right now and a little bit of stone. I'm just going to make like a little bare bones base, but I will show some other things just to sort of show you the sort of thing you can do with building in this game. It is very expansive. Some of the builds look amazing in this game. So these foundation blocks are very expensive. As you can see, it's 64 out of the 200 that I have, and I want to make like a little section for my house. So you can turn off snapping or turn it on. You can sort of toggle that with X. And this makes it easier if you're doing large scale builds where you're trying to clip things together. But typically I'd keep it off if you're just trying to do like a sort of a detailed rough idea. Just going to start off with a couple foundations. In fact, it's probably best now if we just craft up the summoning staff, ready it, and we'll get our blacksmith ready. We'll just place him down. We can move him later. So this guy wants us to basically make some shelter for him and ourselves. I do want the pickaxe. All right, so with the pickaxe and the axe, they're both pretty self-explanatory. The axe is used for felling trees. That is essentially the fastest way to get wood and logs. And then if you want a decently fast way to get stone, it's not as efficient as the wood, but it is something. Just go up to a big protrusion like this, or you can dig down a little ways and you'll find stone eventually, and just hack away. So after about 2 minutes, I've got myself 65 stone. I think I'm gonna mine until I get about 100. And that should sustain us for a little while on building. Also, if you're wondering and you don't want to mess up your terrain around your base, then anything outside of this barrier will reset when you exit the game and come back in. I know for a fact that if I was to do this, if I exited the game and came back in, then it would reset this. So you're not making a mess of your place. So now I'm going to go to my workbench and craft up some of those rough stone blocks. So I've got 100 stone. I'll dump about 50 of that into there. And now if we go onto our construction hammer, you can see I have 2,500 individual blocks. And that means 2,500 of these little guys. So for now, I'm going to just use this little 6x6 area. I use quite a lot of my stone. So if you just want to make a sort of bare bones base, then there are just like some prefabs, like these little wall presets. So it is actually quite important to make a roof because you'll get the sheltered condition, and you can also make yourself a fireplace, which is sort of like a permanent campfire. I'm just going to place that in here. So as you can see there, we've got the rested bonus for 10 minutes. So if I now leave my base, that will start ticking down from 10 minutes. You can increase this with adding comfort boosters. So things like furniture. So if we just add a bed, for example, just place down a bed. You see that buff has now gone up to 11 minutes. A table is a pretty good one to add because it only takes wood and it adds another minute, I think. Yep, there you go. So you can see there by my comfort level, it's currently comfort level 10, and comfort level 10 will just render you 15 minutes of rested bonus, which is helpful for when you're going out and doing whatever you're doing. And this is a pretty bare bones base. Okay, so for now, I'm going to leave the base here. It is very boring looking. It is just a stone block, which isn't the best looking base ever, but for now it will have to do. We've got a blacksmith. We get 15 minutes of rested bonus, which is always helpful. But now I think I'm going to go out, and my aim is to get this fur armor set, which I think I'm relatively close to being able to get anyway. I'm also going to work towards getting the glider, which I'll need shroud wood for, and the grappling hook, which I just need a bunch of string for. And essentially, I said earlier, you do need a bunch of string, and I think that is the thing I'm going to be grinding up the most. Alright, so I've gone out and I've farmed up a relatively decent amount of, well, everything. I'm sitting on 36 shroud wood, 69 wood logs, nice, 27 stone, 18 animal fur, 84 plant fiber because of that string. If you actually go into your workbench, you'll see you can make chests, like little storage chests, and these magic chests here, they let you craft even if the items are in the chests. So with these, you usually have to manually take the items out, but with these, you can just keep everything in the chests and you don't have to run back and forth. So I'm going to just craft a couple small chests for now. I do actually need to just drop something. I'll just eat the mushroom for the nails. That should be enough for 2 small chests. Storage. You want to go into the workbench. You want to go down to storage. I'm just going to put the chest just here for now. So I was after making this armor set. It's the boots, it's the legs, it's the gloves, chest, and the helmet. Nice. We got the 4 armor set. So if we go into our character, we can equip that to each. And there we go. Our character's a bit more decked out. So it's just a nice bonus to have. It's nothing insane, but so now I want to craft up the glider. So now that we've got the glider and the grappling hook, a lot of the world has actually opened up. It will be a lot more accessible and easy to traverse in general now. So right now, the blacksmith wants us to clear the elixir well. It's a little bit of a difficult area. There are like level 3 enemies there, which you can make it a lot easier for yourself if you just, there we go. If you just make yourself a wand, you can see this is the wand, that's how it works. It's pretty much it auto aims for you. It's a little broken. It is extremely strong. It doesn't do much damage, but you can just eternally kite all of your enemies and it kind of just immediately kills them for you. So as you can see down here by all this blue glowing stuff here, right around where this elixir well is. So I'm gonna glide down. Make sure you do have your glider equipped so you don't jump off a cliff and kill yourself. So as you can see here, the wand, it doesn't do much damage, but you can take out your enemies from a safe distance and pretty much take no damage at all. So here, this is how the grappling hook works. You do actually have to have these grapple hold points. But yeah, so this is how the grappling claw works. It's relatively self-explanatory, so I'm going to hurry up a little bit because I don't have all the time in the world. Typically the first elixir well isn't the hardest fight. There is sort of like a mini boss down here that you'll usually find is quite easy to defeat. So there's the big enemy, the Fell Thunder Brute. By no means a hard enemy. You can see his health bar in the top right there. You don't want to get hit by him because he does do a pretty fat amount of damage. Oh, there's a guillotine axe here. That is a pretty simple reason as to why the wand is a little bit strong, because that guy didn't hit me once. This is the shroud route. We're just going to chop this down with our axe. As you can see now, the shroud has been removed from this general area. So he wants us to scale something called an ancient spire. So the ancient spires are like mini dungeons, like they're very puzzle heavy. We can go and do that now. So this is a ancient spire. These things are pretty much just giant puzzle towers. They're not very difficult to solve. So I'm going to use this little teleporter thingy. Make sure you're checking your corners because there are little hidden items like this metal star mace, which does look pretty cool. So here I've got a cross using my grappler. So raised buttons like this, it will tell you here some buttons might be out of reach and you can shoot them with an arrow, but you can also just shoot them with your wand and it will open up. So what have we got in here? We've got a crackling wand. So this does fire damage, if we can see here. The fire wand early is pretty damn good. So you might see doors like this with 2 little button things up there. This just means that you need to find 2 buttons and open this door with it. So that should be one of them. So that should be the second button. So we've got a hunter's bow in here. So here we are, top of the ancient spire. So we can see now, we can click on this and we do have a fast travel point from anywhere. If you have a fast travel point, you can fast travel. So we're just going to fast travel back home. So in short, we made ourselves a little base here. We've got ourselves some decent tools, some decent weapons, a little bit of storage of resources. And our next task is to go find the alchemist and the hunter. If you want to find out how to do that, then click this video on the screen here.